Lately, T.I.'s son, King Harris, has found himself making headlines once again after an argument with Charleston White. After a back and forth between the two where King would threaten White, T.I. got involved by responding to the YouTuber's video telling White to speak to him directly. "I'm a father, I'm a businessman, and I'm a leader. So ultimately, if you have something to say about me and mine, come to me. Whatever you have to say about me, come to me. People will die about their children, and people are willing to go to prison about their children. Stop. That's a suggestion. Stop." After the phone call between White and T.I., the comedian would take to social media once again to defend himself while also dishing out a few more words for T.I. and his son. Many have brought up the fact that King had gotten arrested recently, suggesting that T.I. needs to intervene in his son's life, while others are taking issue with White for not taking his issues to T.I. instead of his son. Today we'll have our comedy hype analysts Danielle Miller, Capone, and Pierre, along with very special guest Willie Lynch Jr., calling in to give their thoughts and reactions. But first, let's take a look at this clip.
Boosie, your boy don't know how to fight. Neither do that T.I. little yellow motherfucker, long hair freak. That little motherfucker don't know how to fight either. Nigga, them y'all babies is rapper nigga babies. And that little T.I. little boy, that little yellow son bitch think he playing tough. You going to jail, nigga. Dog, you little boy going to jail. Like your daddy, shit, going to jail.
Now, there's a lot to this, so we're going to unpack this piece by piece. Pierre, I'll start with you. I want to get your reaction, of course, but also, what do you think? He claims to be a comedian, but he's also, making comments about T.I.'s son's appearance. What are your thoughts? Do you think he's wrong for making these remarks, even though he claims to be a comedian? Pierre, I'll start with you.
I kind of like Charleston White. There's ups and downs with me with him. I like him. So here's the thing I say: please, nobody kill him. Please, nobody, because I know how niggas get. They get upset and they will go find somebody and do some harm to him. Let's say no harm to him. I heard he's a comedian. I heard he just performed in Atlanta and did very well. He sold out the shows and it was did very well. And actually was funny. They said, like just then, it's kind of cringingly funny. You cringe, you kind of like laugh, like, oh my God, what did he say? But hey, if he says he's a comedian, I chuckled here and there with that little shit he said, here and there. And unfortunately, it's so visceral though. The comedy is so visceral, and there's a lot of visceral into that comedy, and not as much just set up punchline as most comedians. He's just talking shit and being funny. To some people say it's funny, but it also can be harmful. So I don't have a problem with him, trying to say he want to be a comedian. Just the material is just not really top notch.
Right. So do you think it's wrong for him to make comments about T.I.'s son? And I do want to make sure I put out there, T.I.'s son is 18 years old. So do you think he's wrong for making those comments?
No. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing comments. If your son's in the limelight and you're doing that, T.I. got to understand they're going to talk about it. They're going to talk about T.I., they're going to talk about Tiny, they're going to talk whoever's in the limelight, your children, if your children in the limelight. I don't think it was funny. It was kind of visceral, it was just visceral stuff. But sometimes people have comedy that's visceral, that is like that. We know some comedians that just So, but no, you can talk about somebody's kid if they're in the limelight. He's 18 years old. He's a grown-ass man, basically. He can go to the army. You know what I'm saying? So, T.I. got to understand, brother, this ain't, when your people out in the public eye, they can talk about it. So, welcome to comedy.
Capone, let me bring you in on this. What's your reaction to that? One, of course, there's the comedian side of, hey, this is kind of what comedians do. We make jokes. Is it okay in that realm? But just overall, do you think he's wrong for making comments about T.I.'s son, even though he is 18 years old?
First of all, I don't think he's no comedian. That's one. Nothing he said was funny. Number two, and to talk about a person's child, you might trigger something you ain't ready for. I personally think that this dude is off and he's doing it for attention. And the sad part is that we are putting a lot of fuel in the fire. We're talking about him. Oh, who is he? Where did you just come from trying to put all black men in jail? I mean, you seen the sign, he's doing it for attention. Trump for 2024, all of that. You got to take accountability for that and see what he's really trying to do here. He's getting popular for talking shit and starting trouble. He's a snitch. He tells you he's a snitch. Oh, y'all do something to me, y'all going to jail. I mean, he's an informant. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. He's an informant. And he hasn't been touched yet because people know that he's being protected. Nobody's that stupid to talk the shit that he's talked and not have a plan B. So I didn't like it.
Absolutely. Willie, let me bring you in. First and foremost, thank you for joining us today. But I want to bring you in on this as a comedian to get your perspective as well. What do you think? Do you think that Charleston White is wrong for making these comments, about T.I.'s son in the way that he did?
First of all, thanks for having me. Second of all, to piggyback what Capone said, he's not a comedian. And comedy is literally, in my opinion, one of the most disrespected art forms in world's history. We're calling people who are not comedians so loosely. In order to be a lawyer, you got to go to law school and practice law. He's not a comedian, so let's not call him a comedian. Secondly, going back what Capone said, I literally think the dude has an agenda. I think he's been sent by somebody to literally be a rabble rouser, a troublemaker. And I just recently, because I used to laugh at him, and some of the stuff he says makes sense. Like Pierre said, sometimes like a love hate. You like, okay, I like some of what he's saying, I'm like, nah. But then I started recently thinking after I saw him speak on Lil Boosie, how he said Lil Boosie don't want no problems with me because he know who I'm with. It make me, like Capone just said, think that he's probably an informant. You come out of nowhere, all of a sudden you start getting, algorithms is in your favor. You're getting extremely popular. You're talking about Trump. Something ain't right with dude. I literally think he's an informant that's sent here literally to kind of get a lot of rappers locked up.
No, I appreciate you all for chiming on this. I do want to go into the next clip, and Danielle, I want to come back and get your reaction on it first, so let's take a look at this clip.
Boy, Charleston White, you was a bitch, boy. He said he was with him. He was with him. Man, we was about to whoop your ass. You come back down here from telling. I can see you had a soft upbringing.
I just tagged the Atlanta Police Department since T.I.'s son threatened to kick my ass. I'm a senior citizen. That's a threat, and he left me evidence. Not only did I tag the Atlanta Police Department, I tagged Miss Fannie Willis T.I. No, how y'all? I ain't no T.I. in the boxing match. I'm gonna put his son in jail. I'm gonna box this man and I want to put his little boy in jail for threatening me.
Now, Danielle, I want to come to you and kind of just lay it up. So, of course, after Charleston White would make those remarks, of course, King would come back and respond, and Charleston would then post the video where he says, hey, I tagged, police and different people that he tagged within his comments saying that he felt threatened. So I want to come to you, Danielle. Do you think that Charleston White was wrong for taking that, straight to King instead of going to T.I. to handle the matter adult to adult?
I think he was wrong. I don't understand how it got that far for you to say, let me call the police, especially because it's like you throwing rocks and then hiding your hands afterwards. Because first of all, the comments that he said originally wasn't funny. I think it was a little bit out of line, to tell you the truth, because why was it necessary for you to come after Boosie's son? Why is it necessary for you to come after T.I.'s son? And I do agree with Capone and Willie. I think big man clout chasing. I honestly think that he is. And that is why he chose to go after those two, especially because King just got arrested earlier in September. So I don't even think his comments was even warranted in regards to those kids in the first place. But you going to King instead of T.I., I don't even know how it got to that point for him to say, let me call the police. And then you're specifically calling out a prosecutor who's already being labeled as one that goes after rappers. So you know exactly what you're triggering, which leads more to your clout chasing. Because the whole Gunna and the YSL case is a big case. You clout chasing. And I remember T.I. saying in the comments, like he was on the phone trying to reach him for about an hour now. Pick up the phone. Why don't you want to talk to T.I.? Why are you going directly after his son? Why are you calling out people's name and cops' name inside? It's completely unnecessary drama to us, but for him, it's like him gaining credibility and pushing his name out there. And it's being done in the wrong way because you're going after like literally the wrong person.
Right. Capone, let me bring you in on this. What are your thoughts? A lot of people in the comments and T.I., as Danielle mentioned, is saying like, hey, reach out to me, talk to me directly. Do you think Charleston White was wrong for responding directly to King instead of saying, hey, let me call up T.I. on the phone?
How did he become that popular that he can reach out to T.I.? That's number one. Why is T.I., out of all the people that said anything, why is T.I. letting this, mess with him so much that he would want to talk to this dude? This dude is nobody. And we keep bringing him into these arenas to make him feel like he's more than what he is. He tell you in a heartbeat, I'm calling the police. I'm a snitch. I'm going to get these boys locked up. What kind of conversation are you having with him? There's no reason to have to him. And I'm going to say this to you, T.I., brother. Don't waste your time with this dude. If you a brother in the streets, there's a code that you have in the streets. You allow whatever, because when something happens, if it does happen to this man, you're going to be looked at because you in the public eye talking about you want to talk to him and all. He's nobody to talk to. And that's just the bottom line, because he said a few smart remarks. He snitched. Everybody he has a problem with is somebody that's high in the ranks. Right. Soldier Boy and him got into it. So my thing is, let it go, man. Let it go. Leave him alone.
Pierre, let me bring you in and ask you that same question. What are your thoughts? Do you think Charleston White was wrong for, taking his remarks to King instead of T.I.?
Charleston White is playing the system the way the system is. He's doing the system the way the system is set up. He's doing the white man's work, basically, meaning that, you can do. I can talk all day long. Don't put your hands on me, type of thing. I'm gonna lock you up. That's just how it is. You can talk. People can talk all day long. Freedom of speech. You just can't put your hands on somebody. But the problem is he's dealing with niggas from the streets, and there's a different code in the street. They don't play the same. You can say something. I ain't gonna touch you. Yeah. Touch somebody who's just talking to you, but that's not the way it goes in the streets. And he's dealing with some really heavy street people who are connected in the streets, from the Bootsies to the T.I., who know people around him. I'm afraid he's going to get himself seriously hurt. Seriously hurt. I don't know if he has a death wish, whatever. About T.I. talking about standing up for his kid, it's understandable. It's your child, but your child did pop off on the dude too now. And the dude gonna say, hey, it is what it is. The son didn't go to T.I. to talk about Charleston White. The son stayed on social media and talked about Charleston White. And Charleston White lives on social media. That's what he's about. So, Charleston White going to react back on social media to the child, 18-year-old. So it's just it's an unfortunate game that I think is going to get really ugly, because Charleston White is getting deeper and deeper in the next, 6 months, brother. Charleston, I don't know if it's worth it, brother. That's all, the Charleston White.
Right, and obviously it doesn't end here. Of course, T.I. would then respond to him, and then there would be a little bit of back and forth. So I want to take a look at some of those clips. And Willie, I want to come back to you after, because I do know you're a father, so I'd love to get your perspective on this. So let's take a look at this clip.
I don't know gangster. I'm a father, I'm a businessman, and I'm a leader. So ultimately, if you got something to say about me and mine, then just come to me. Come to me. Whatever you got to say about me and mine, just come to me, nigga. You say whatever you want to say, and if you walk away and don't nothing happen, you won. You be the rawest, and you can go and talk all your internet talk. My mother and children name out your before something bad happens. That's not a threat. I just don't want to see nothing happen to nobody. But people will die about their children, and people willing to go to prison about their children. Stop. That's a suggestion, okay? That is a suggestion, sir. Please. Stop. Whatever man can fix his mother face to talk shit about a mother kid, bruh, use a come deal with the daddy. Cause when the daddy get to get on your, you gonna do nothing but hit 911 and wait on the one to come to follow behind. You don't want no problem. What you keep on kicking up dust for? What you keep kicking up dust for if you don't want no trouble?
If you can't take what I took, then you crash out. Send somebody to crash out. Who would? You ain't no comedian. If I ain't no comedian, then handle it like I ain't no comedian then. You ain't dictating nothing, not this conversation. I'm the big dog talking. You the one trying to get understanding, right, daddy? Well, guess what? I ain't trying to get now nor give a one, so fuck you and your tip. That's exactly what I just told her on the phone. I ain't scared of now one of you rap. Think you're tough. Send somebody to crash out. I already got reports on you. You ain't got no family members or nobody that'll crash out. And you ain't never won a fight. Fuck you talking about. I done already pulled your resume, Clifford.
Now, Willie, a lot of people are saying, hey, Charleston, you should go directly to T.I., but Charleston is saying, now, wait a minute. I don't have to talk to T.I. because I didn't talk to him before. T.I. should actually talk to his son. So I want to come to you, Willie. What do you think about Charleston White saying, hey, T.I., you should actually go and discipline your son instead of trying to talk to me?
Again, man, I think dude is literally an antagonist and he's paid. So that's where I'm sticking with it. Like, number one, it's dangerous to be talking about somebody's child. And it's even more dangerous to be talking about somebody. So I see why T.I. is upset. and it makes total sense. But what I'm hoping T.I. does is realize this is probably just a bunch of bait, and they're trying to bait you because T.I. is a multimillionaire. He's doing a bunch for Black folks in Atlanta, and he's doing a lot for Black folks in comedy, you know, so he's very, very needed. And one of the things that the power structure would do is literally neutralize people like that. And they'll use somebody like Charleston to do it. So whether he's talking to T.I., whether he's talking to his son, I think they need to realize this dude is up to no good and he's trying to bait you. So Charleston, nigga, I just saw him for the first time with his hat off up close. That nigga need a patch on his eye and he needs surgery. He ain't got time to be calling nobody else babies ugly. That nigga worked for the Halloween man. Charleston White, man. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Danielle, let me bring you in on this. What are your thoughts? You know, Charleston White is saying, hey, instead of me trying to have a conversation with T.I., T.I. should actually take it up with his son and discipline his son for being, you know, as he says, disrespectful. So Danielle, what are your thoughts about that?
I go back to my original statement. Throwing stones and hiding your hands. He's literally acting like the victim now. The man even quoting scripture. Like, that's classic victim like action right there. He went out and called out T.I.'s son on his own, unprovoked, as Willie said, being antagonistic. T.I.'s son responded because earlier, like said before, it wasn't funny. It was not funny at all. And now T.I. has responded to you and is asking you, look, bro, pick up your phone. I calling you. I find where you is. Let's have a conversation. T.I. even tried to go on the live with him as well. T.I. requested to go on the live with him. He didn't respond to T.I., but yet you're saying, oh, you need to go talk to your son. No, bro, I'm coming to you because you made the comments. And like Willie said, I'm not a parent, but I have sisters. And I have kids that I care for daily. When you go after somebody's child, that's a different type of beast you come in with. You can even hear in T.I.'s voice how he came onto that video. When you know somebody mad and they come talking that smooth, you know they've hit a different level of anger. And like they are ready to defend at all costs necessary. So I think he is literally being an antagonist. And I'm not too familiar with this gentleman, but I have to agree with all three of the guys that are on the panel today. I think that he is playing into a bigger system and a bigger role inside all of this, because that's the perception that he's given me. Because all of this right now, I don't see where it's warranted, and he's playing the victim card constantly.
Right. Let me bring Capone in this. Capone, what are your thoughts? You know, Charleston White is saying, hey, T.I., you actually need to talk to your son to discipline him. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, let me be very honest with you. I have trained myself not to allow people's opinion to get to me. In this line of business, you're going to have people who don't find you funny. You're going to have people who don't really care for your comedy. And I've learned that, I've tried to learn that, you know, they have opinions and you can't let it get under your skin. But just watching this dude over and over again, because we played the little lengthiness of the tape, kind of brought me back to being the street dude that I am. And I don't want to come there, but I actually thought about smacking the shit out of him, because it's not worth, you know, you don't go after nobody's child, regardless of whatever. And I know you're doing it for a purpose. And T.I., I'm going to say this to you again. Willie Lynch put it in the most professional way to put it. You know, don't let this get under your skin, man. This dude is trying to antagonize everybody as much as he can. And he even said something about Nipsey Hussle. And I heard that they stepped to him and he apologized. He said, oh, them niggas came at me deep and I had to apologize. So he knows what he's doing. Right. You know, T.I., as a friend, brother, do not let this get into you, because the system, you're a successful Black man. And I want to say this to you from my heart. Do not let them trick you into getting angry and doing something to this cat, because that's what they want.
Absolutely. Now, before I go into the next clip, Pierre, I do want to get your response on that. What are your thoughts of Charleston saying, hey, T.I., you actually need to discipline your son instead of trying to have a conversation with me?
Well, after I heard all three of these people, I didn't really need to become to me, because I agree with Willie, Danielle, and Capone. Charleston's playing. He's playing him. He's playing the game. He's playing the game and hiding. And if T.I. or anybody lets them draw them into his game, he wins at the end of the day. I mean, unless he gets seriously hurt, injured, but he's playing the game. he's being very successful. So I'm quite sure he's making money on social media. So somebody's paying him, or somebody, something is happening for him. Or if it's just a view thing, he's making money on views. But he's, I saw the little charm he had on in the new truck. So, congratulations on that, Charleston White. You got some new stuff. But I'd like to have a sit down with Charleston. Come on to Panic Room, Charleston. I'm going to ask you some questions, my nigga.
Now, Capone, you mentioned, of course, T.I. not paying attention to it. Now, T.I. would actually have a conversation with his son about that. So I want to take a look at that clip, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more about it. Let's take a look.
And this what I be telling you. This what I be telling you about. Do you see it now?
I mean,
Can you see it now is all I want to know. When I be telling you, man, the energy that you put out is the energy that you will receive. Do you see now what I be trying to tell you? That monkey you got on your back is just a result of when everything ain't worked. Somebody tried to tell them something early on in life. They didn't listen. And now this is what they stuck with.
Now, I know we've been watching a lot, but just wanting to break this down a little bit. Willie, I want to come to you and just talk about, if you're in T.I.'s position, what does that look like? Because we've seen now, he's had not only a conversation with Charleston White, but he's also sat down and had a conversation with his son. So with all that in mind, if you were in T.I.'s position, how would you handle this situation moving forward?
I would ignore him, and then, none T.I.'s dabbling in comedy. I would literally write a whole bit, or have K-Dub write a whole bit about Charleston White's left eye and his hairline. That's what I would. I would not entertain it because it's clear as day, in my opinion, that he's trying to bait him. If you go back and you remember in one of the other clips, he talked about Fannie Willis and how, that's the prosecutor down in Atlanta, and how she's indicting all these rappers on RICO charges. It's clear as day that he could be working for them. So don't take the bait. Don't do no time for your kids when it's unnecessary. This unnecessary. Then you can't even touch them, because if you touch them, they're gonna make it seem like, well, you probably sent somebody because the beef that you guys had. So I would ignore them, and I would literally make punchlines about that nigga's eyes.
Capone, let me bring you in. I know you had a couple of things to say to T.I., a couple of advice, but I want to talk to from the perspective of, if you were in T.I.'s position at this point with what we've seen at the end, a conversation with Charleston White as well as his son, how do you handle this situation moving forward?
Knowing what we know, or what we guessing, I would tell T.I. again, stay away from it, brother. But I also witnessed just now how hard it is for T.I. to have a conversation with his son. He's trying to tell him, and he's just looking for one answer. Didn't I tell you that this would come? Just give me an answer, yes or no. And T.I.'s son ignored him. You ain't got no cups. I want to drink or something like that. And when you have that type of relationship, it's kind of hard to chastise your son with doing the right thing, because he's going to do what he want to do. And I noticed that in the clip.
Yeah, no, I think you bring up great points. Thank you so much, Point. And I actually want to bring that over to Danielle as well as Pierre, but I'm going to start with you, Danielle. What do you think? One, of course, what's your reaction and how would you respond if you were T.I.? But also, do you think the actions that you saw in that back and forth between T.I. and his son, kind of speaks to some of the concerns that Charleston did speak on a little bit? Danielle, I'll start with you.
All right, let me first address the whole back and forth between T.I. and his son and what Charleston said. I think when it comes to parenting, it's not your place to say anything, especially publicly, if you're not in a family. I think when it comes to somebody's parenting skills, that can be very, very tricky. And we all know that King has not been a saint, especially within the last year, with him already having 2 incidents prior to this. But King is 18, and that's the most important thing. He's a man. So I think what we're now seeing with King is something that Zonique tweeted. She deleted the tweets recently, but she tweeted, allow my brother to grow. And she said that King is still very young. And she also wants people to understand, even though you watched us on TV, even though we were behind the gates, it's still like our mom and dad, I don't want to, what she alluded to, allegedly in my books, is they're still T.I. and Tiny. They're still from the streets. So even though we were behind the gates, we still had this kind of mentality. And I think them just trying to figure out the whole life inside of a mansion and being popular and these celebrities, and even their kids had to go through that as well, trying to understand what that looks like, and also growing up in the public eye. Right. Saying that now, if I were in T.I.'s shoes, I don't know how I'd respond. The first thing, let's remember that he is T.I. And like Sonic said, he does have a past. And sometimes when things like this happen, things trigger. Things trigger your emotions, things trigger your reaction, especially when you're talking with somebody childly. Like that's a whole different kettle of fish. But if I were T.I., I think it's pretty easy for us to say, like, I would ignore, but that's because of me, and that's just because of who I am. But if we're talking about who T.I. is and what T.I. used to be, we can't say it's so easy for him to ignore such things being said about his children.
Absolutely. Pierre, let me bring you in to wrap this up. You know, I think it's, well, now we're at a two-part question here. One, you know, the back and forth that we kind of seen between T.I. and his son, what are your thoughts to that? Do you think it kind of touches on some of the things that Charleston White said he was concerned about? And then also moving forward, if you were T.I., how do you respond to all this moving forward?
Not only T.I., but let me say these couple words. Leave this nigga alone. Okay, leave Charleston White alone. Okay, leave him alone, because like all the people said on this panel, he's gonna draw you in. He's gonna draw you in. You know, if you don't leave him alone. You know, if he says something, you got to move on. Some people you can talk to rationally. He's not a rational person to talk to on a certain level. You know what I'm saying? You can't even have a dialogue. If he's pissed off, he's pissed off. And for some reason, we as society likes to see this, and we buy into it. We want to watch, oh, what he said about this, what he said about that. And each one of these people are men or women or grown. They have feelings. We all have feelings. And to be called out so visceral, you know, about ourselves or whatever, it's hard to keep silent. It's very hard. It's easier said than done. Keep quiet, keep to yourself. I get that. But this man is somebody, you just got to let it, you know, let it go, move on, let him get someone else. But if you try to fight him and battle him, it's not going to be a good look, because he has damn near nothing to lose. You know, well, he doesn't have as much to lose to a lot of people that he's talking about. So why let yourself get in? You know, T.I., I like T.I., I sat down with him, good dude. But he's worked too hard to let it go, you know, to lose it so easily to Charleston White. And Charleston White only going to do is laugh about it when you lose it. So what do you win? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. No, I appreciate you all for chiming in on this one. I know it's been a lengthy topic, but, you know, hey, hopefully, you know, things get resolved. And as you guys said, hopefully, you know, the back and forth just kind of stops so that no one does get hurt. But before we head out, of course, I like to know what you have coming up. So Capone, I'll start with you. What do you have coming up? And my favorite, how can people follow you?
Black Enterprise this week, whole week of just being around entrepreneurs and big businessmen and doing a comedy show at this event, and just learning more things about business from the Black Enterprise people. Also, you can follow me, Comedian Capone, on Instagram. Comedian Capone. Okay. And if you can't spell comedian, don't follow me.
I love it. It always brings a laugh. We needed that. So thank you, Willie. I want to thank you again for joining us today. I love your commentary. You also adding a different insight to this. So thank you so much. Of course, we like to know what you have coming up and how people can follow you.
Well, I got a few things coming up, and some stuff I can't even talk about as of now. But one thing I do have coming up tonight in St. Louis, I'll be at Top Shelf for Funny Mother Tuesdays. I host that every week. And then you can follow me on Instagram at WillieLynch_JR, same on Twitter. And make sure you check out my herb page. I'm actually an herbalist. I have my own supplements that I put together. I buy herbs from all over the world, put them together in formulas. OSanesBotanicals.com. It's on my Instagram in my bio. But yeah, man, thank y'all for having me, and I enjoyed my time here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us. Danielle, all the way in the Bahamas, let us know what you have coming up and how people can follow you. And we love the backdrop. We love it.
Thank you. Do you see like the waterfalls? I saw Pierre's little setup yesterday for Comedy Hype News yesterday, and I was like, I got to do one better. I got to let the water fall from the rock. So there we go. You can follow me on Instagram at DA Miller. You can also check out my YouTube channel. It's Danielle, DENIELLE. You can look for the girl with the blonde hair. And that's all I have going on for right now.
Awesome. Thank you. Last and certainly not least, Mr. Pierre, if you can let us know what you have coming up and how people can follow you.
I thought Danielle was at the white zoo. All I saw was white folks behind her. I thought she was shit. I was like, I like that. What is that right there? What's that? That's a white person with a bag. What kind of white person is that? You know, I saw white people back there. Do black people come there? Yeah, but okay.
Yes.
You can catch me at the X Lounge in Louisville, Kentucky this Saturday, October 15th. I'll be at the X Lounge. If you're in Louisville, Kentucky, come holler at your boy. You can follow me at Comic PA. There's another. I see. Look at there. Yeah, they're there. I see a couple of them back there. That's the real. Look at it. Look over your shoulder, girl. Look over your shoulder. One of those. And shit, okay. I might have come to that zoo right there. But catch me at Comic Pierre. Forget to put it in the comments.
What's up, Comedy Hype family? Like the t-shirt from this episode? Be sure to head over to comedyhype.com/shop to get yours today. 'Cause I'm fresh.